So why do I go in so hard on Black Lives Matter? I go in so hard on BLM because BLM is very misleading about their intentions. That's why. They have a good portion of young people, not just black people, but young, ignorant people in general, under the thought, under the idea that they are behind this movement for equality and justice for all. And I said it before, and I don't want to get too controversial about what I'm going to say, but I will come out and say that I believe that BLM, even though it says Black Lives Matter, BLM, the organization, they're going to be more beneficial and supportive of the LGBT community before they will be for black people. Throwing that out there. You can hate it if you want to. It is what it is. What's going on, everybody? Devil's Advocate here. I was skeptical about even shooting this video because I told y'all a little while ago that I was sick as shit. So, and I'm whatever it is that I had, I'm getting better from it now. It's whatever, but I think I had the flu, like straight up, like all the symptoms were like flu symptoms. So, but anyways, I'm over it. So I'm pretty sure you could tell by the introduction of this video that let's not say it's an I told you so video, but it's a little bit of a I told you so video. And it's not to be an asshole or try to kick up, dirt or shade in anybody's face or anything like that. But I think it's important that when I put this material out, right? Because, as my channel is growing and as I say things, I get a lot of people out there who thinks that they think I'm just talking just to talk. And that I'm just pulling this information from God knows where, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm just making these things up as I go along. Like I'm a conspiracy theorist, blah, 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 blah. And I've adopted that and I've accepted it. It's not a big deal. But when things start to transpire exactly the way I say they're going to, I'm going to start making a better habit of documenting, revisiting, and say, hey, you remember that time when you thought it was absolutely ridiculous when I said that the BLM organization, Black Lives Matter organization, was going to be much more beneficial for the LGBTQ community than they ever than they ever would be for black people? Remember when you thought that was utterly ridiculous? Well, let's take a trip and let's revisit some information and let's see where we are today. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of articles real quick. Here we go. So the first article I want to touch on is Joe Biden releases plan for the LGBTQ community equality, right? And I already said the reason. let me just kind of go back on why I made these assumptions to begin with. All one had to do was seeing what similar organizations were doing around the world. And then all you had to do was go on their website and read the About Me. And then you could see it's crystal clear on what their agenda is and what they stand for. And the only time black people are beneficial to the Black Lives Matter organization is if they're a dead black man shot by cops. Preferably a white cop. That is when black people are beneficial to Black Lives Matter. Yes, I absolutely said that because it's the absolute truth. But moving on. I want to read something. So, Biden promises to make an enactment of the Equality Act during the first 100 days as president a top legislative priority. Reverse the transgender military ban as well as military police that discriminate against people with HIV work to end suicide among LGBTQ young people, end the misuse of religious exemptions to enable anti-LGBTQ discrimination, address violence against LGBTQ people, something especially affecting transgender women of color, and more, according to the document issued by his presidential campaign. So there are a couple of things in that paragraph that I want to talk about because it's things that I actually know about. And this is a very PC piece to throw out there because it sounds pretty. It sounds pretty. But there's a reason why things are the way they are. And guess what? I'm just going to say it because it's the truth. All right. Let's go with reversing transgender military ban. All right. So as far as the police aspect, I'm not going to touch that because I've never been a police officer and I never worked for a police precinct. So I can't speak to that. But I can, however, speak to the whole military aspect of it. So there is a reason why the military aspect of it did not work out. And I don't mean this in any type of negative or bad or discriminatory way. It's one of those things where it is what it is, right? The data and statistics just prove it. So for the short period of time where we opened up the floor for transgender people to enter the military, we had to make a ton of accommodations for those individuals. Let's start with like boot camp, for example, right? In boot camp, a lot of the, whether it be male or female, it's kind of like open bay, right? So it's all males in there, so males shower together, and it's all females in there, so in their compartment, so all females shower together, right? And it's no big deal because they're all the same and they all got the same parts. But when you get a transgender person in there, things get a little awkward because either A, now you've got an individual that is either a male claiming to be a female in a proposed situation of having to shower with other females, and those females don't feel comfortable about that, or you have a female identifying as a male, and that definitely ain't gonna work as far as like showering and birthing and stuff like that. All right, so it got really complicated and it got real messy real quick. They had to come up with these unique situations where the showering situation were like individual stall type deals and stuff like that, and all of it, it all fizzled away because it became really complicated and it became really messy really fast. And I forgot who said it, but I want to say it was a general. I forgot what general said this, but this general said that our United States military has every right to discriminate. We discriminate for a reason. And it's not to be mean, and it's not to be judgmental. It's because the military apparatus of the United States has to be a functional unit. And anytime you introduce something into that functional unit to compromise its integrity, now all you're doing is crippling your warfighting capabilities. What's so hard to understand about that? That sounds right to me. That sounds right to me. Now, I do have ideas on how these things could be addressed because I do believe that fairness and equality for all people, I believe in all that stuff, right? People should have the right to do whatever they want to do, right? Held to the same standard. Held to the same standard, the right to try. So let's make that clear. I believe that everybody should have the right to attempt anything that they want to. But no matter what it is, you will be held to the same standard as everybody else. So if you don't fucking cut it, you just don't fucking cut it. If you can cut it, great on you. Kudos. But anyways, So that became an issue, right? And what they started seeing with this narrow window of opportunity where people started coming in, a lot of these individuals would come in for their they would come in with the preconceived notion, because the one mistake, oh God, was it Esper that did this? Don't hold me to that. I'm not sure. Somebody's going to fact check me on this. But either way, at one point, the military was paying for service members' gender reassignment procedures. So the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, because these service members, these kids would come into the military, kind of like the way kids come in for college to go to school. But that's different, right? You're paying these kids to go to school and stuff like that. You kind of get some return on investment, blah, 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 blah. But when you get these kids that come in and their main motivation is to get the military to pay for their super expensive gender reassignment surgeries, where's the return on investment for that? It's a monumental amount of recovery time associated with gender reassignment. There's a lot of complications involved with it, and it's super expensive. So when you join the military needs you to come in, get trained, and they need you to do a job. So if you come in, get trained, and then the first thing you want to do is task the military to foot the bill for your gender reassignment, now they have no return on investment. They're just stuck footing the bill for somebody's gender reassignment procedure, and they don't get anything out of that service member. And then after that, there's a high likelihood, due to complication or some kind of mental instability, they end up getting medically discharged anyways. So that is why that got cut off, because it wasn't beneficial for the military environment. Now, if you want to sit here and tell me, now if somebody just comes in, right, let's just say they're transgender, and they come in, they're already transgender, right? They don't need the military to foot their bill on anything. They're not expecting any kind of like downtime for anything. They just want to come in and get to work and serve their country like anybody else. More power to them. More power to them. But there has to be rules and stipulations put in place for these types of things, because when you open the floor up like that, you're going to get people who are just going to come in to leverage and manipulate the system. And everybody else just suffers for it. And that's just the truth. You know, it's kind of like back before you were able to, verbally express that you were homosexual in the military. I was in when I was still a thing. It was called the don't ask, don't tell thing. Yes, we knew that there were homosexual people in the military. We knew that. We didn't care, because a lot of these individuals, all they wanted to do was come in and do their job, just like everybody else. They didn't expect any kind of special treatment. They didn't expect anything other than what everybody else was getting. Fair and equal treatment and just the same opportunities as anybody else. You bring that to the table, we're good to go. But unfortunately, when it came to the transgender thing, that's not what was happening. A whole lot of exceptions had to be made. And it became to be too much. So that's that point. I'm gonna drop that topic right there. I'm pretty sure people understand exactly what I'm saying in that regard. All right, and then I'm not gonna talk about the military, the police aspect of it. Work to end suicide among LGBTQ young people. Okay, like I already told you guys before, one of my expertise is abnormal psychology. That is a very broad blanket statement. There are so many reasons on why these individuals find themselves in the boat of suicidal ideology. And a lot of it's confusion. And I've seen this just by doing casual observation of the young people in our society. I look at how they act, how they lash out. There are a lot of them are on emotional roller coasters, and I and all I have the opportunity to do is observe those young adults um, as individuals. I don't know. I can just assume what type of family structure they came from, or what kind of family background they came from. Maybe a broken family, maybe a father figure wasn't in the picture or something like that. I don't know. But there are a whole lot of reasons um, why these things happen, and they try to say, they try to throw bullying and stuff like that. Bullying happens everywhere, and I'm not saying that it's right, but I do not believe for 1 second that a gay, trans, homosexual, lesbian, whatever you want to identify as, I don't believe for 1 second that those people get bullied any more than anybody else would get bullied. And I would go as far as to say that in our current young adult society, it seems like being a part of that crew is like the new trend. It's cool to be in that group. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? It seems to be a trend. It's like this. That's like the new trendy thing to be now. It's like to be gay, homosexual, transsexual, identify with 50 million different things, or whatever the case may be. Right? So to say these people are being bullied, everything's possible. Everything's possible. But I don't think it's at a disproportionate rate than anybody else that would get bullied, in that age range. And like I said, I think a lot of it's confusion. And especially if these individuals are in the boat of manipulating their hormones, that's bad news all day. That's bad news all day. Anybody who has any experience with an endocrinologist can tell you that manipulating hormones can put somebody in the suicide boat all day long. So when freaking legislators and administrators and politicians start advocating to give these children the right to start manipulating their hormones at an early age, I'm like, this is criminal. This is absolutely criminal. You are literally sending that child down the path to ruin themselves indefinitely. Because it's already known that when you manipulate your hormones before you get a chance to go fully through puberty, there's a good chance that if you ever were to change your mind, if you ever wanted to reverse course, there is permanent damage already done. It's irreversible. You'll never be back to normal again. And then there's a good chance that you might be on some type of hormone dependency for the rest of your life just to feel normal. So there's that. So let's see, misuse the religious exemptions to enable discriminate. I can't talk about that. I can't speak to that. Something affecting transgender women of color issued by violence. Okay. All right. So I do know a little bit about that. So what that is saying specifically is there have been cases of minority, let's just say black transgender individuals, specifically men posing as women, right? Picking up dudes and not letting them know what they're doing or who they are or what they are. And it's at a disproportional rate that black transgender men identifying as females pick up male counterparts or male sex partners under false pretenses, and then they get the shit kicked out of them or they get killed. I mean, that's just, what do you want to do about that? That's just that's an education piece right there. I'm like, look, listen, if you're going to be one way, but you need to be transparent about what you're doing, because you are literally putting your life at risk trying to fool somebody into sleeping with you. posing as a woman, and you know that man thinks you a girl. What do you think is going to happen when he finds out that you're not? But that's what that's speaking about. Absolutely 100%. But, you know, it just kind of goes all like every human being needs to be treated with dignity and da-da-da-da-da, and how Mike Pence and Donald Trump have done everything to try to block, you know, the equality and the progression for the LGBTQ community and stuff like that. I won't even go into all of this, right? But the whole point I wanted to make about this and Black Lives Matter was the point that I made at the very beginning of that clip that you just saw. And I said when Biden gets into office, he's going to use the Black Lives Matter organization to leverage black people to his cause. And then once he has what he needs out of them, out of the black community, not the organization, because the organization is still making demands to this day. But once he's gotten what he thinks he needs out of the black community, they're not going to get a damn thing in return. And once he gets into office, since the people that actually run the show are of that community, they're the ones that's going to get their plates served first. And there it is. There it is. He's already talked about what he's going to do for the LGBT community his first 100 days in office, and that was front and center. Now, does he have a plan for the African American community or black community? Yeah, sure, he says he does. But it wasn't put front and center like it was for the LGBTQ community. And if you go to Joe Biden's page right now, he's got a whole section dedicated to that stuff. It's long as hell. But anyways, I digress. Let's go with this next article. So, Joe Biden names transgender military veteran to review Department of Defense. So, I guess this person served as a naval officer for 20 years. And she's been appointed. Let's just see. A former official for the Barack Obama administration, Sean Kelly, has joined former President Biden presidential transition team as an agency reviewer for the Department of Defense. Skelly, who is a man living as a woman, was appointed to the Obama administration in 2013 as a special assistant under Secretary of Defense Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics, and coordinator for the Department of Defense Warfighter Senior Integration Group. Skelly, also a director of the Office of Executive Secretariat of the Department of Transportation during the Obama administration. Let's just see what the meat of the potatoes is of this. No. Okay. Now, I apologize in advance that when I pull these articles up, I'm not that person who pre-reads all this stuff before shooting these videos. Like, we're going through this real time together. That's what we're doing. So that's just the way I roll. I don't have enough time in my day to do all that. All right. LGBTQ advocates are pressing Biden to reverse Trump's ban on transgender military service in short order upon taking office as legislation against policy continues in federal courts, the Blade reported. According to a memo from the San Francisco-based Palm Center, Biden could lift the ban against transgender service members in as little as 30 days. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that's what she's there for, right? She's there to like observe all this stuff, and they're there to observe all this stuff and try to advocate for, you know, all the military getting back for transgenders being allowed back into the military. It's not gonna work. And like I said, I don't even say that to be an asshole. It could work. But the reason I say it won't work is because I observe how these activist groups are, and when you give them an inch, they want to take a mile. It's not good enough to say, yes, fair and equal treatment, your right to employment, come on in. But we're not paying for any of your elective procedures. That's not good enough. They will advocate for that. They will push for that. And then what's going to get complicated is that once they are allowed to re-enter into the military is going to be tasked for coming up with these creative ways to try to integrate them with these, male-female environments. Because I'll tell you what's not going to happen. The military is going to struggle very hard to put an individual who might identify as a female and still has a penis in a compartment with a bunch of females, like biological females. And they're also going to have a problem putting a female that's identifying as a male and still has a vagina into a compartment with a bunch of men. You are asking for disaster. And the military is fully aware of that. They know that. So that's why none of this stuff is going to work. And the military will do what the military does. You can make your requirements and your requests as you please, and the military will proceed to make its own determinations and implement the rules the way it sees fit as to try to not interfere with mission integrity the best way possible. And then those individuals might find themselves discriminated against, even worse. It's not a good fit. It's not a good fit. Unless the transition has completely occurred, right? Like, all right, you transgender, do you have a full conversion? Because if you're going to do this, like, this is how we're going to work this. If you still have a penis and testicles, you will be birthed with the men. If you still have a vagina, you will be birthed with the females. That's the only way this is going to work. So whichever side you're choosing, we are going to categorize you based on what you're biologically born with or what you have surgically successfully completed. Either way. Because what we're not going to do is create an environment for potential rape and gangbang environments. We're not going to do that. We're not doing that. And this is not like, this is not like me crazy talk. This is real talk. These are real plausible things that can happen when you put certain people in environments where sexual activity is restricted to a such grand degree that people it's like putting people in prison, right? Sexual tensions are high, and once sexual tensions get high, either in a strict training environment or a deployment environment, things can happen. So the less triggers you put in there to try to prevent those things from happening, the better. And you can sit there and say, well, you're not going to do that because we told you can't do that. Okay. Very well. Very well. But anyways, so premise of this video, I don't want to drag this out too much because I feel like I've gone pretty long on this one. But this is just my little round term, just showing that, hey, look at where we are. We look like we have a strong possibility of ushering in a Biden administration. And look at what's going on. And the LGBT community, I want to revisit this because they're making even more demands. They want even more stuff. So we'll see how it falls out. But black people, like I told you, if you wanted to start a movement, you start your own movement. And you don't ride the coattails of a corrupt organization that at the end of the day, their only motivation was to push the LGBTQ narrative and agenda and to raise a shit ton of money for old rich white people. That's exactly what happened. By the way, I'm done. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. And as always, stay safe. Take care of yourself. Be smart. Use your damn brain. Use it. Or lose it.